Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast covers everything tech. The hottest mobile phones, tablets, games. We review it, rate it, test it. Whether you're Microsoft or Apple, Android or iPhone, we'll give it to you
again and again.
Black and white. The Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast.
Hello and welcome into the GSMC Technology Podcast on a Thursday. My name is Tom Dougherty, your host. As always, this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. As we get started today with some talk on Elon Musk, a little bit on what his future at Tesla looks like. His job is secure after the board did go through, and that was a couple weeks ago, I know, but they kept him on board and kept him as the CEO. But now he's trying to get a little more funds and maybe go away from the publicly traded company because it's not working out that well with him. He's trying to get investors to buy all the shares so he can go private again and have more liquidation. At least more money to spend on producing cars faster. Because I don't know if for those who live in, like I live in a suburb of Sacramento. There's a lot more Teslas on the road right now, especially in the nicer areas, obviously, because I think there was a major shipment or there was a big finish. I mean, they made a bunch of cars. There's a big shipment, a big production line finished, and everybody was able to get their cars because they've probably been on order for 4 or 5 months at least for some of these people who bought their cars last year and are just getting them now. Because they took so long to build them, and that's why you see. I probably see now. I used to see maybe one a day, maybe, and now I see at least 3 a day, and it's crazy. And I finally saw one of the ones that has the seagull doors that open up over the car. The back door is the family car for Tesla. But as they are going to, we'll be finding it out. We'll be discussing it throughout the show today, as well as looking at the Galaxy Note 9 and the review of that. CNET does a big review that I like to look at as well. And then also we had a trailer for Battlefield 5, which is going to be coming soon, and it kind of teased a little thing that we're used to from a different game, and is going to be bringing it to Battlefield, which is pretty interesting to see if they're going to try. I don't know if it's jumping on the bandwagon or getting along with the fad or just trends. I think it's a good idea, honestly, but we'll get to that in the last segment, or probably the third segment today, as we go along through our little title line there as well. Quickly update on the Apple stock price. It is at anytime Apple stock goes over, I think it's $208 or $207 and some change, it'll reach $1 trillion market cap. Right now it's at $212.49 with a market cap of $1.026 billion. I mean, that's just insane. It's already it's still just going up as well. I mean, I'm not surprised, but then again, what do you think is going to happen when the phones come out? I mean, this is kind of a technology show. I do throw a little business in there, as these technology companies are all businesses, and they all have business do business actions. We're going to talk about in a moment here with Elon Musk and Tesla and his. I know I heard some reports he's trying to get the Saudis involved to try and get there. But now, of course, Tesla. We're getting reports from New York Times saying that Tesla is going to be subpoenaed by the SEC because Elon Musk tweeted something that got in. So it said, considered this is a quote from the article from New York Times. The Twitter post by Mr. Musk, who has considered taking Tesla private in the past, was something of a flipper mark, said several people familiar with the matter, but was not authorized to speak publicly about the episode. All right, so obviously they're a little shocked by the mark from their CEO, obviously, and even some board members have as much as tried to urge Elon Musk to stop using Twitter. I'm sure there's a couple people who should be urged to stop using Twitter in our country that are in power right now. But the board, the independent directors, did recently hire a law firm to represent itself, or represent the company in the SEC investigation progress. So looking like that's going to be, what they're really going to do. The SEC is kind of a toothless, the SEC Securities and Exchange Commission. It is kind of a toothless outfit there, and they only can do as much as the courts allow them to do. So I'm looking to see what the actual, I don't know if Elon Musk has actually deleted the tweet, or I don't know if they have deleted the tweet, or if it's still out there, and if we can get a transcript of it. Obviously, this, of course, is the investigation started on. The investigation apparently led by the SF office is unclear, but then there was, of course, they had already has issues regarding Tesla even before the tweets, because this is all out there anyways. They're obviously trying to. They're also trying to try and go private, because it's going to be better for their. He thinks it's better for their company to go private, get more money to be able to produce more cars. Of course, that they've already had other issues the SEC had to get involved with, because they had a whistleblower, a former employee, Martin Tripp, came out and said that Tesla is having problems with their batteries, and has seen problems with the installation of the batteries into the cars, and have been misleading investors about production figures, which is I would not be surprised by at all. Because that's the one problem. That's not the one problem, but it's one of the many main problems that Tesla has been having is the rate of production. Have not been able to move cars out of the factory fast enough. Have not built big enough plants. I think they're in the process of building. You got to build the plant first. In the process of doing so right now, but what do you need to do that? You need money. And if you look at Tesla is crazy, because it's one of the most shorted stocks on the New York Stock Exchange right now. It is shorted a lot right now. It's gone down considerably in the last week, almost $30 a share. It was at its peak a week ago. It was on the 12th, on August 12th. It was at 360, and it's all the way down to 336 right now. As like I said, it's been subpoenaed by the SEC. And it was kind of a good. They're trying to do all these workings, getting these investors involved, and now, of course, I think if they're only trying to get the Saudis involved, they don't like they're cold feet kind of people, where they need to have everything worked out perfectly for them to work it out. It looks like that's probably not going to happen. And then also, they also had a solar panel deal with Panasonic that they have backed out of as well. So I'm not sure what they're getting in with that as well. As they tried to. The company said to begin building solar cells and panels in a factory in Buffalo. Tesla was supposed to buy the entire output for home solar panels, but then of course it backed out of that because Tesla needs to try and maybe keyhole themselves a little bit, maybe focus on the cars instead of trying to get into the. Obviously that's what they did because they backed out of this deal, but they're left and right. You can tell why it's the most shorted stock or one of the most shorted stocks in the United States, because of the volatility of, number one, its CEO. In general, who seems to be more worried about building tunnels in Los Angeles right now. I'll get to that in a moment. And then also just the volatility of luxury electric car sales in general. Fortunately for some investors, I think that the fact that you're seeing all these, I think it's an influx in cars on the roads right now because of the fact that they all just were delivered to them. The major order was finally delivered on to all these people that bought cars. And whether they bought them months ago or weeks ago, it doesn't matter. They finally are just getting here now, and you can see them all over the place, especially the new models. And then now, of course, getting into, there's just more stuff regarding his Musk and his position on the board and the instability of the board itself. And that company is just, I don't know. They seemingly are lacking funds, even though their market cap is at 57 billion, that actually doesn't seem very high for a company that makes cars of that price. So Yeah, it is. It is what it is with Tesla. Regarding what Elon Musk is more worried about, I saw a report earlier, actually on ESPN, the sports outlet. I actually had heard about this company. It's called the Boring Company, and is a company that Elon Musk started to build tunnels. And he now apparently is coming out and saying that he's going to build this tunnel from East Hollywood to Dodger Stadium to help with the traffic problem. So he's going to be able to build this tunnel and put electric cars down there, or electric vehicles that will shuttle people from this subway station to Dodger Stadium to try and evade traffic, which I mean is great. It's a great idea. And he says he wants to build a big tunnel system in Los Angeles anyways to try and help traffic. And I'm like, okay, great. You try to build a submarine to help the kids in Thailand, which would have been great too, but they didn't use it. You spent all this money on the R&D, research and development, and testing of it, and building of it, manufacturing of it. I mean, I know you did it very quickly. I saw the reports of that like a week, and then a week later, he had the submarine was done. And then obviously never made it to Thailand. The kids were able to get out by the excellent work from those SEALs out there that came from various different countries. I think there was some from Europe and also some from Australia, and then Thai. There were a few Thai SEALs as well that were there to help get those children out. I mean, I remember that. I mean, what was that? A few weeks ago that happened. That was quite the experience, kind of hearing it minute by minute. We were getting alerts here from CNN, from all these different things, all these outlets on the radio. Okay, one kid's out. Okay, now there's 3 kids out. Now we have to wait till the next day. And they had SEALs that were in the cave with the kids for like 5 days to keep them calm and everything. And then obviously having to get them out is crazy. Keeping kids calm like that in narrow waters, underwater, with the breathalyzer on like that, it's insane. But I mean, you can give a little golf clap to Elon Musk for trying to help out a little bit. Obviously, the submarine wasn't going to work that much anyways. In those tight, you see with the kind of, they give you a little map of the route those SEALs had to take to get to where those kids were. That was not going to happen. That big submarine was not going to fit around those corners. Yeah, you could have put the kid in there, but they were able to get the kids out. I guess the old-fashioned way with the scuba gear, or some sort of breathalyzer that they use to get help those kids get out of there. But that's just one thing. I'm like, oh, Elon Musk trying to get involved again, trying to help the world. I mean, yeah, it's great, but I mean, now you're worried about building tunnels in Los Angeles or all of California. Which doesn't seem like the best investment based off of the earthquake issue that we have here in the state, and the fact that at any point, well, not at any point, but like it is scientifically said that Los Angeles will eventually become an island in the next, thousands of years. God willing, obviously, but I mean, it's just funny that, he wants to build some tunnels and make it a better. I'm all for better metro systems, but it's tough when you have fault lines everywhere, and I don't even know what the catacombs of Los Angeles even looks like. But you never know. I'll leave it to Elon Musk and his team to go excavate it and dig it out. But yeah, he's in a little hot water right now. I think he'd be more worried about that SEC inquiry and investigation, even though I think that it's pretty toothless. The SEC is kind of toothless in itself, unless you're like literally caught on the carpet, insider trading bad, like misleading investors, fraud. Like if that guy, if the whistleblower guy comes out and says that and what he says is true about the misleading investors on the production figures, that's where you can be in trouble. You can get in big trouble for that, because then the SEC will pass it right along to the feds, and you'll be going to real court in front of a real judge, not some SEC prosecution kind of thing. It's going to be the real judge in a federal court. So for misleading investors like that, if you do that as well. So I mean. So it looks like that Tesla, on the way to 6K Model 3S's. I mean, that's the fact that they don't build these cars fast enough is not surprising based off of what they actually put in the cars. But you think that just with that price point, you'd be able to actually get some investment and build build a plant that could actually build the main product of your company. And your main product of your company is not electric shuttles in tunnels, and it's not autonomous driving yet. It's not. We're a little far off from that. I think at least I think we're at least 5 years away from autonomous. At least 5 years away from autonomous driving, maybe even more than that, because it's going to be it's more of a cultural thing than a technological thing, because that's just a bigger picture thing. We can get into that at a different time as well. We've talked a lot about that on here, but it's just Tesla's trying to. I think they're trying to. He's putting his finger in too many pies here. I think he needs to try and downsize a little bit. All right, that'll take a break right here. We'll come back and talk a little bit about the Galaxy. Well, not a little bit, but we'll do the review of the Galaxy Note 9 in the next segment. So everybody stay tuned, and we'll be right back with that.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Technology Podcast on a Thursday. As we're going to cover the Galaxy Note 9, looking at the review for that. Right now, as with any phone, I feel like you're not going to really get, oh, it's terrible. You're not going to get that, but you're going to get it's great, but there's always a but, even for the iPhones, even for the Google Pixels, but CNET gives it a 9-star rating. Battery life everything gets a 9-star rating. Design, features, performance, camera, but the battery actually gets 10 because it's a very good battery. Obviously, the massive battery, internal storage, 128 gigs on the low end. Like I said, you can get the I think it's 528 or some crazy number like that on the high end, and then of course the phone is going to be a lot bigger. And then actually cool feature though, the new S Pen that comes with it will double as a wireless remote for taking long distance selfies. So if you don't have to set up a timer anymore, you can have it as you just set up your phone and walk away and push your pen and it'll take a picture for you, which is actually, I think, a really cool feature instead of having people worry about like a timer and such as well. So that's the good part. The bad, yes, of course, the price point is where you're going to get a little bit shaking your boots a little bit with that price point, because it is quite high, and you're not really going to get much differences from last year's Note 8. So there's not really much innovations. And then also, I've been hearing that the fingerprint reader is also like a little too close to the camera. So you rub your finger on the back of the phone to unlock it, and you may be touching the camera. And then, of course, you smudge your camera with your fingerprint when you really think you're trying to unlock your phone, but it's not the case. So it's it apparently is not quite close, not close to, or too close to the camera, looking like there. And then, of course, this is one of the best phones. But CNET, of course, like they're going to come up with the bottom line thing. But I'm going to sum it up for you. It's like these are one of the nicest phones, but it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. You thought the iPhone 10 was expensive. This is a little more. This is actually the next one up. We'll wait till we hear the price point for the 10 Plus. But this is considered quote unquote ultra pricey. This is the Note 9 because it's going to be one of the year's best phones. If you really need an upgrade, then sure, go ahead and grab it. There's been plenty of people who are willing to pay that. You pay it over monthly. It's not as big of a deal. But my boss is like, nope, I'm getting the big one. I don't really care. I'm ready for it. I want it. I want the big capacity, 500 gigabytes as well. But it's going to be like that if you're really a Samsung guy. But honestly, the smart move, I think, would be to see. And CNET agrees a little bit. I think to see the Pixel 3 XL, it's something that I really want to I want to look at, because if I was going to switch away from the iPhone, I probably would go to that. the Google Pixel 3 XL, or maybe the next Google Pixel next year. Then also you can see what Apple's going to be doing next month. Apparently all reports are pointing towards us getting 3 iPhones. We're going to get a discount iPhone, which is going to be the one with the LCD screen, and then we're going to get ones with the OLED, the 2 with the OLED screens. Those are going to be the newer iPhone 10, and then the iPhone 10 Plus as well. So we're going to have the discount phone, the new phone for this year, and then the big phone. Well, it is in the morning. Sorry, but big phone for you guys as well in September for the Apple people who, like me, like to have. I mean, I've had this. I have this. There is no 7S. I guess it's just the 7 Plus. They never came out with the 7S. I don't know why I thought that, but it was 7. I have a 7 Plus. And I mean, I love the size of it. I don't really want to go back down to the smaller one, even though I don't know if it was the Galaxy. I mean, if you look at it, my friends are like, oh, I have a 10 right now from last year, and it's the same amount of screen. I'm like, no, it's not. Even with the notch and the button, no button on the bottom. It's, if you want to measure the area of the screen, it's still bigger on the Plus. So let you know that's what I'm telling you right there. So looking at more of the review, obviously that this is a powerful phone. The Note 9, you are going to get it's not, I'm not, no way is it a bang for your buck, but you are paying for what you are going to get what you pay for, I believe, when you have the phone. I don't know, just the interface of it, obviously. So one of them is 512. It's 512 gigabytes and the 128, which is insane. It will have that 4,000, what's a MAH battery, Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor, and like I said, you could either do that 128 gig or the 512 gig, which is crazy. And then some of onboard storage, and if you want more, you can get that micro SD card. If you want more, as I said, they have those cards are going crazy with the more storage as well. So I think that S Pen as a remote shutter thing, that's one of the coolest features. I think I'm waiting for Apple to kind of come out with. I'm sure they would just sell you something else. Maybe make the Apple Pencil have that functionality as well, which is pretty cool. So it looks like that. So that's the Samsung Galaxy Note. It's going to start at $1,000 on Amazon. It's on Amazon, at least on Amazon right now, and it looks pretty cool, as well as the fact that you're obviously more inspired to draw and use it to write down with the pen, and it has really nice. They say it's a black screen and it writes a black background in a yellow font, which is actually pretty cool. It really stands out. You lemon color digital ink, is what they're saying. It's pretty cool as well. And then of course, what's going to be harder in cash and everything. Obviously, we've seen the fact that the iPhones hit the $1,000 one. If you want the best phone, you go get it. This is going to be great. You're gonna. We're not gonna. They've definitely. I mean, the thing is, the Note 8 was fine too. I think that the little small additions they've made have made this worthwhile. It's just going to cost you a pretty penny. You kind of save your coins or whatever it is. But if those who can afford this price point, then I mean, they're not going to have any problem with it. The specs are top notch. Everything you need is in it. Like I said, you can get more and more storage if you want. There's no problems with storage, anything like that. Of course, it doesn't really have that wow factor that we were looking for because of the similarities to the Note 8. We always like to see a year later, okay, what's the difference in looking? Obviously, Apple has done a bunch with the wow. Okay, getting rid of the home screen, going to the notches, then before that, getting rid of the headphone jack and such. So, and then now we're probably going to go even more, changing the notch at some sort of anything. But this is actually interesting because what you're going to pay if you're going to go after the S10. I couldn't imagine the S10 being more than $750 because the S9 was $690 at Amazon.com, and if S10 $750, are you really going to pay $250 more dollars for just the bigger screen? I don't know. Some people will. I think some people will, and I mean, that's kind of. I think is that what Apple might be asking the same thing actually. I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to see what their price point's going to be as well. apparently there's the one problem is, though, we did get rumored that the new Android phones will start having the front-facing camera and going after Face ID, even though the Note 9 has like I said, the fingerprint scanner on the back. And then also the Note 9 is never going to be able to latch on to the 5G data speeds once those are going to be starting in 2019. They're holding that back, looks like, for the Galaxy S10 next year, which will be probably in April of next year as well. So you could wait for that, or you can go for the 5G. Yeah, it's going to be super fast. 4G. Actually, I'm starting to see 4G be bogged down a little bit, especially with all these all the wireless carriers offering these unlimited data plans, these cheap unlimited data plans now. It's almost like they don't have enough towers or enough signals out there for everybody to go out there and use. But we'll be seeing when it gets to the 5G. Obviously, I think we'll be fine. All right. Before we go along to the next, we'll move along from Samsung here before the break. I did want to touch on this Pixel Watch stuff. Some news coming out from Google as they're going to be preparing for the release of the Pixel Watch, as well as the mandatory. It's going to be called the Wear OS, is what the OS system for the Google for their watches are going to be called, and we're going to get the reviews. Apparently, it's going to be coming with a fitness coach, which is pretty cool. Obviously, I know Apple is all about the rings on their watches and completing your rings. I think there's like 4 or 5 rings depending on what you want to do. One's like walking, steps, running, how many times you've been like off on your feet, standing up. I think there's probably a few more of them as well. And if you complete your rings, it means you finish your total for the day, which is pretty cool. But OS looks like that it's going to have to go through a quote unquote light review process as well, and it'll be announcing the Pixel Watch in October, as reported. And then we're going to be seeing the first reviews for the news app starting on October 1st. So. And the rest of them will be beginning of March 4th as well. So that's where the reviews of these new things as well. Of course, the Wear Android Wear 2.0, but this is actually different, as it's going to be a screen size, because Wear OS is available for both the square and the round displays, which are going to be introduced in various bezels and such like that for more style, which I think is cool as well. And then it's going to be, we're having, of course, additional rumors coming out from various reports saying that the new Google smartwatch will be featuring a Google Coach, which will be recommending different workouts and tracking progress of workouts and giving you alternatives if you did miss a workout, say. Actually, I think I like that, because people are busy and you can't always make it to the gym, but it's going to give you, say, hey, you didn't make it to the gym today. Well, say you have a set bedtime, or maybe it'll realize what time you go to bed. It's till 10:30. You have 30 minutes before bed. Why don't you do 15 minutes of sit-ups or something like that? Or it'll prompt you quickly during maybe a downtime period. It'll try to give you alternatives if you miss a workout as well, which I think is pretty cool. And also will log your activity, and even reportedly maybe suggest. I would think that why wouldn't you put that in? But suggest healthy meal options as well. Google. I would not be surprised if Google was an investor in any of these, like Plated or Blue Apron or HelloFresh. Any of those, like the services where it's all the pre-fixed meals and you get them delivered to your doorstep, and then you prepare them. My family uses Plated, which is pretty cool. We get 3 meals a day, or 2 meals a week for 4 people, and it's pretty cool because they're not always home, or if I'm staying there or whatever it is, coming over for dinner. It's ready to go, and I can actually come and make it for them. If I can go over there for dinner and make it for them, it's really easy. They don't have things that are last over, I think, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Usually the average is 30, 35 minutes. Some of them are a little longer. But I wouldn't be surprised if Google was in a business partnership with any of those companies, and they're all very health forward, health conscious ingredients and recipes. So I would not be surprised if they could maybe make a deal where, like, hey, if you buy the Pixel Watch, you can get 6 free months or 2 free months of Plated, and then see if you like it, and then it'll link right to your watch, and it'll prompt you. Hey, eat your Plated tonight, or something like that. It's this, and this. Like, it's really good. So it'll prompt you to keep reminding you, because I think these watches are actually going to be even more cool, because our lives are getting so fast paced these days. And like I said, if you miss a workout, it'll give you an alternative. Like I said, go for a walk, or go for a quick run, or go for doing this and that, and you can equate a workout instead of going to the gym because the day got away from you or something like that. All right. That would wrap it up for this segment. We'll come back and do some talk on the Battlefield 5, and if I can talk, and talk about what they're going to be adding on, and something that we're probably a little more familiar with, and you might know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, I'll tell you on the other side of the break, so stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Technology Podcast on a Thursday today here, as we're going to talk a little bit about some gaming stuff. As Battlefield came out with a trailer, and it showed us a little bit of something that we are used to from a game we talked a lot about on this show, and that's Fortnite, as Fortnite is known for its Battle Royale mode. And it looks like that we'll be seeing not the exact same thing, but something very similar from Battlefield, as they did tease a Battle Royale mode in its trailer, as the latter half of the trailer did show more locations and players. The players were encountered during the game, including we're calling it. Apparently, Variety is calling it a possible sneak peek, even though, we can take what you want from that. A possible sneak peek at the new Battle Royale mode. Of course, this is us extrapolating this little final moment of the trailer, when it shows soldiers standing in a closed ring of fire as a bomb or possibly a plane falls from above. So that's, of course, a very common element that you see in Fortnite or Players Unknown Battlegrounds, called the Circle of Death, quote unquote. As that's what we're seeing here. As you know, that's kind of what I think. Why not? We saw. I mean, first it was Nazi zombies, which is still honestly a thing, and then now Battlefield, which is Nazi zombies is a Call of Duty thing. Battlefield never really caught on to that, so I think maybe they're trying to get the fact that they come out with the game first. Before we're going to see the next, what's the next Call of Duty? Is Black Ops 5, Black Ops 4, something like that. Which is probably going to have Nazi zombies and everything like that. And then, of course, with Battlefield, they were the first ones to have the what's it called, the movable physics with the map and everything, where you actually can break down buildings and stuff like that. So getting into this battle royale mode is not surprising at all from a game that already seemingly has a following where people like to have more movement around a map like that. so that's not surprising at all. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they even go further than that. If they start going where you can start, I mean, I don't know if they want to straight copycat Fortnite, but try and see if people actually want to play a game like that in a real war situation where Fortnite's much more arcade-like, the skins are where you're going to make, I mean, the other thing is Battlefield's not really, it's a different model. It's a different game. It's a different model in itself where Fortnite is free to download. And then you pay in-game versus Battlefield, you pay to buy the game. And then I'm sure there's some sort of in-game payments you can do or purchases you can have in the game, but it's not nearly as much as a Battlefield where Fortnite, where you're really going for these skins. I want to look like this person. I want to have Thanos. I want to have this and that. I'm going to pay for it. I mean, for a game to not charge its players to start playing it. But then again, of course, that's the whole point. It's kind of a, I don't want to say, it's not bait and switch. It's more of a bait and keep playing it, pay to keep playing. Basically, it's like, hey, it's like a teaser. It's like, here, showing you what you can do, and all so cool. And then, if you want to keep going, you got to pay a little bit. Oh, you got to pay a little bit more. Oh, you got to pay a little bit more. And we made $1 billion in revenue. I mean, I don't think it's not that expensive. I mean, I couldn't imagine it being that expensive. It's just the amount of volume, worldwide volume of gameplay. I mean, when you have, 2 million active users a day, 10 a week, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's like a big city. I mean, there's not that many cities that have 2 million people. A big city, the entire city playing a game every day at all times. At all times. I mean, who has 2 million people in it? Does St. Louis have 2 million people in it? Or, let's see here. I just thought of a city that might have 2 million people in it. Maybe Louisville. I'm going to check St. Louis. Because I'm just a weird person with stats, and I like to know things for sure. And say, population of St. Louis is only 308,000. That's it. How about San Jose? We'll call it San Jose. It's close to 1 million. I mean, close to 2 million. The entire city of San Jose, which is every tech person in the world. I'm kidding. That's Santa Clara too, but that's crazy. If you've ever been to San Jose, you know how big the city of San Jose is. And so let's see here. San Jose has, I think, 1 million people. No, I don't want Vietnamese American population. I know that is a big part of the San Jose. No, the entire city of San Jose. No, Thomas is a technology podcast. Why do you care about the population of San Jose? Because I care and I want to know. Yeah, look at that. Urban. 1,894,000. There you go. Boom. That's how that works. As that's that many people at all times playing a game and paying or whatever they are doing, and of course they're making money in other ways through advertisements and stuff like that too. So, actually, do they have ads in the game? I don't think they have ads yet in the game. They have their own ads, Epic Games, but I don't know if that's actually where they're going to be getting. They're getting most of their revenue, I'm sure, from the payouts or from people paying to get their skins and make themselves look like Tom Cruise and stuff like that, or whatever. That I read something. It's like, why does Fortnite make so much money? Oh, because people want to make themselves look like famous people, or like, I want to look like Tom Cruise. That was the quote for it. It was hilarious. I'm like, what? No, but imagine the entire city of San Jose playing Fortnite at all times. Right now, the entire city of San Jose is playing Fortnite. It's just insane because it's worldwide. What do you think would happen with? I mean, when Xbox Live first came out, and then of course PlayStation. The funniest thing is that now we'll see if there's any movement because of the fact that we have lockouts from Sony, and the crossplay is not allowed. Versus now Switch, and people playing Switch and people playing Xbox One can play at the same time. So not a problem there. All right, looking at more back to. Sorry, I got my Fortnite. Got a little Fortnite tangent there. Of course, Battlefield's. We all know about Fortnite. Battlefield's the next one to break. Of course, as we got the sneak peek from them and got a little bit of gameplay as well. The title was Devastation at Rotterdam. So I'm trying to see like if it's more of a. It looks like World War II. In May of so the real Battle of Rotterdam took place in May. During World War II, 1940, and that's when the Germans attempted to seize the city, the Dutch city, and then of course they did win following the Blitz of Rotterdam. So players will get to fight Germans. There you go, during the game. So it's, like I said, I figured it was going back to World War II. That's what I thought was from the original trailers that we saw. I'm pretty sure it was going back to World War II. It was now. We're getting that. Of course, the latter half is showing you more locations and players encounter. And then, of course, the sneak peek looking at maybe we're going to see a Fortnite-style kind of battle royale thing going for it as well. Looking at this, the senior producer from EA DICE, this is Lars Gustafsson, said, and looking at all what the universe of Battlefield provides, everyone definitely looked at each other after playing Battle Royale and said, So there's been lots of interesting talks in the corridors. As soon as we have something to talk about, we'll definitely talk about it. So there you go. Then you have the senior producer come out and say that, hey, we were all playing this game, and like we're looking at each other, hey, imagine if we put this kind of gameplay into our game. And we're like, that would be pretty cool. So it'd be interesting to see it for the first time in a like legit war game. Which is like with the setting of a war that actually happened, World War II, and then putting a arcade style game into it is going to be. Do you guys think that's kind of edgy? I mean, I don't know if that's the right word for it, because I mean, people did die. I mean, grandparents, fathers, sons, brothers, uncles, aunts. I mean, there was women out there. Believe me, there was. Died. A lot of them did. World War II was not nice to our world, and maybe putting a game like Battle Royale in there is, I don't know. I mean, the fact that you're actually going to set it up like that anyways, it's a video game, Tom. Who cares? They're fighting Germans already. I'm like, imagine if the kid in Germany buys Battlefield 5 and has to go kill the Germans. I mean, obviously they're Nazis, so it's a little different. I mean, I don't think the Germans right now like the Nazi party very much at all. But you know, so I mean, that's kind of course, that pops in my. Oh, but what's the political ramifications of this? No, that's not. I mean, that's what we can worry about a little bit here, but you know, it is what it is, and it's going to be. We'll find out as it goes along here, and if they even come out with about. I mean, this is of course all speculation based off what we saw in a trailer. And maybe the fact that the course is fueled a little bit more by the fact that you have the Lars Gustafsson come out and say, hey, we actually thought about this, and we were playing Battlefield, and we thought about it, and we're like, As playing this is we can I don't think they can do an exact implementation where it's going to be like 100 people going at it like they do in Battlefield, same way, but they'll probably figure out a way where it's going to be some sort of Battle Royale mode. And, of course, EA actually did announce it during E3, but of course not many details have come out. But I mean, I don't think it's going to be exactly the same. It's going to be similar, but it's not going to be exactly the same. It's going to be different because instead of more of an arcade world where you're building your own forts and putting up all these little ramps and stuff like that, and jumping hundreds of feet in the air or whatever, or doing the double jumps and killing people. What's it called? No scoping people and stuff like that. It's a little different, I think, in Battlefield. But just the gameplay is going to be very similar. I think because Battlefield has many different. They have different kinds of game modes as well. So I mean, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Of course, I'm the one who thinks of the political ramifications of it, but it is what it is. All right, well, we're going to cut it right here at the end of the show at this segment, as we have reached the end of what I set out to talk about today. As I was kind of figuring this would happen. With the end of the show coming at this point, as we will come back on Tuesday next week and bring you some more news from the technology world, as well as gaming, whatever business stuff. We talked about that as well. Quick little check and see if Apple's still at the height that it is at. Of course, we got to do a stock check here. Apple's gone up another 1.4% since open. They opened up at, what was it, open at 211.75. They're at 213.32. That's pretty nice for those who own a few hundred shares of Apple right there. You made some money today. Twitter is at, actually, that's Time Warner. Twitter's at 32.85. They actually went up at almost 1.5% today. Google is crazy right now. Google, they're going to be next. I think they'll be the next $1 trillion company. They need to split. If they ever do a stock split, they can be at $1 trillion very easily because people will buy it. But they're at I mean, a crazy $1,223.02 right now as their stock price. And then looking at Tesla's actually trading. Tesla actually did tick up a little bit since open today, as they opened up at 339. Actually, they did open up at 339.91. They're down to 339.82, but they were up as high as 340. But not really that worried about it. They're going to see. And Amazon, of course, is very similar to Google, where they just don't want to split their stocks, and they're at $1,900. I mean, a $2,000 stock pretty soon here for Amazon, who actually will probably beat Google to the $1 trillion mark, as they are actually in front of them right now at $927.8 billion market cap, with Google at 800 and change as well. So interesting coming from there. And then the last, Starbucks. $53 a share. Microsoft's at 108. Facebook, have they recovered at all? That's what I wanted to look at. They have recovered a little bit, not quite back up to the 182. They're out there at 178, which is not bad at all, honestly, based off where they were and then where they came from. I mean, they were at 218 before the drop, or 216 around there before the drop. And then dropping all the way as far as 171 earlier this month, as well as they lose, like I said, they're at $620 billion market cap. They're at 515 right now. So they've made what, 15 billion back, or whatever it was. I mean, they lost $120 billion in one day. We talked about that on the show. All right, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Talk to you later. Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.